Hello and welcome to High Vibe Astrology. Welcome if you're new. This is Jennifer. Thank you for joining me as we take a look at the chart for Sedna moving into Gemini, drawn up for April 27th, 2024 at 11:11 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're tuning in for the first time, please know that my way of interpretation views the chart as a microcosm for the collective energies and evolution of humanity. I share with you what comes from my own meditation and conversations with Spirit, and I trust you to decide what aligns for you and your life and simply discard what doesn't. I want to give a shout out to Karina for lighting the fire under me to get this video done sooner rather than later. If you are new, I want to thank you for supporting this community with your energy. I invite you to subscribe, hit that like button, and share these messages as you feel guided, all of which are free and easy ways to support this channel. In this chart, we have Cancer rising, Sun in Taurus, ruled by Venus and Aries in the 10th, Moon in Sagittarius in the 5th, which is the chart ruler with Cancer rising. Pluto is in the 7th house, which means we have very powerful and intense encounters with others. These are powerful mirrors. We have Sedna in the 11th, which is all about choices. Gemini is about choice. And with Sedna in Gemini, we are being offered yet a third choice beyond duality. So Sedna in the 11th is about choosing our friends and allies and who we wish to join us as we move into the future and as we continue to evolve as one human family. Gemini is the natural ruler of the third house energy, 3D reality, rational mind, the immediate environment. The low vibe of Gemini is the frog in the well syndrome. Looking up at the sky and seeing only one small circle in the sky and believing that that is life in its entirety. With Sedna moving into Gemini, Sedna also being associated with Scorpio, the energy of extreme polarities, and Gemini itself being a sign representing the twins, duality, angel or devil, black or white, all of what is the extreme of the Scorpio essence. So this is the choice point, the extreme purity and spiritual essence, divine alignment, or the alignment with the physical 3D reality, the virtual reality. With Sedna in Gemini, we will have the choice to continue in this vein or to surrender to ego death, to go through Pluto's transformation, which prepares us for the final phase of graduating into Sedna's initiation to the eagle, the third symbol of Scorpio, where we are able to flow with life and trust the universe to get us to the point where we can emerge victoriously from duality as the immortal being who is aligned with the will of the divine. We submerge, we submit our human will to align with divine will. Even when we cannot understand what God is doing in our lives, we are willing to trust that divine will is working behind the scenes to deliver us from whatever we're going through right now. We're able to pierce the veil to deliver something pure, healing, nourishing, expanding, abundant, literally what represents that garden of delights, which we talked about at the eclipse. So we are ascending, we are evolving as one human family, but each individual has to make the choice for him or herself. It is our God-given free will to choose the angel or the devil, the 5D expansion into the higher realms like the eagle, or to stay stagnant in the human experience, the 3D reality. I have always felt that Sedna, more than any other exoplanet, held the most potent impact, let's say, for humanity's evolution. The reason I believe that is because of all these dwarf planets that are being discovered beyond the Kuiper belt. Sedna has the longest orbit to date of any of these other dwarf planets, and as such holds the greatest impact on humanity's evolution at this time. This is our literal and symbolic come to Jesus moment. Christ's example of death and resurrection is the message. Death, where is thy sting? You can kill the physical body, but I'm just going to come back even stronger and more powerful, influential, and aligned with the divine than ever before. Sedna's myth and legend is conveying this same message. Deception, betrayal, brutality, the death of the physical body. But Sedna's death led to the creation of abundant life that provides the very sustenance for the community responsible for her death. She returns as the immortal sea woman. I tend to take issue with the term of goddess because, according to Inuit culture, they do not use the term gods and goddesses. This is the old Greco-Roman tradition. In the Inuit tradition, they do, however, believe that all life is sacred and should be treated as such. There is a reverence for all life that has totally run amok on this planet of ours at this time. But in Sedna's story, she will free up the abundance that will sustain us if we are willing to see our transgressions and confess. And that confession is a key element to humanity's unfolding story under Sedna's influence. The perpetrators of human atrocities, animal abuse, and all forms of life abuse must come into divine alignment. And as they do, there must be a public reckoning, a come to Jesus moment for these atrocities. So I do feel that Sedna is bringing justice, and the opposite sign of Gemini, Sagittarius, rules over the ninth house of higher courts. This is sacred law. The seventh house, where Pluto sits, is human law. This is the human court system. The good thing is that there is an agreement, a trine between Pluto and Aquarius and Sedna and Gemini, bringing higher justice for the sake of our evolution. Isn't it interesting that as Sedna ingresses into Gemini, at least for my part of the world, is 1111? And this is significant on many levels. 1111 constitutes those repeating numbers that those of us who are awakening and who have been working consciously to align with the divine are seeing repeatedly. 1111, 333, 444, 555, etc. These numbers mean something in the spiritual language of evolution, and each one has their own significator or interpretation, but I'll just mention a few here for 1111. It represents a gateway, a portal. It's basically saying pay attention to what you are thinking because your thoughts are manifesting so very quickly. And this is exactly what Sedna's energy and message has been telling us all along. Words matter. Thoughts matter. They create our manifested world. And in the Inuit tradition especially, words, thoughts, and language are potent creators. So we have to become more and more conscientious of what we are thinking, believing, saying, telling ourselves, because this is creating our reality. So anyway, 1111 represents gateway, a portal for manifestation. 1111 also represents the Four of Wands in Tarot. And as the Four of Wands, 1111 can also mean the twin flame journey or soulmates. 111 representing the duality that has to be brought into unity for the masculine, and the masculine and feminine energies that must be brought into unity in the divine feminine. And when the divine feminine and the divine masculine have done the inner work and come into balance with that sacred union within, then the external manifestation can take place. So whether or not you believe in the term twin flame soulmates, it doesn't really matter. But each individual, however you identify, whatever gender you identify with, this journey is the same for all of us. Masculine and feminine, solar and lunar, positive, negative, light and shadow. These polarities must be brought into sacred union within each and every one of our beings as a physical human on this planet. And when that happens, when that inner balance takes place, we become whole, we become healed, we align with the divine, and that is what we manifest in our world. Let's also remember that in the last video, 4 was prevalent, and of course we have 1111, all add up to 4, which is security, the manifested realm, the 4 elements, the 4 corners of a foundation that bring us stability. No matter how you look at this or interpret these numbers, our evolutionary journey is gaining stability and security. It is on track. Life never shrinks. It never regresses. I know from the human perspective, we have planets that regress and it appears that they go backwards, but life itself is always, always expanding. It is always creating more life, and creating more life means creating healing and abundance. The opposite of life is death. Death is stagnation, the contraction, what feels like contraction to us. Something is not giving way to Spirit's desire to give us more life. So this contraction and restriction is the opposite of life. It's oppression. But we are coming into more expansion, even more so as we look at Sedna, which is conjunct Jupiter. First of all, the 11th house is about evolving. So this is expanding our hopes and dreams for the future. But conjunct Jupiter, the planet of expansion, Jupiter has an emphasis in this chart because it's the dispositor of the chart ruler, the Sag moon. Now, the moon is bridging the 5th and the 6th house energies here. It's at 19 degrees. The 6th house cusp is at 20. Moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius rules religion and philosophy, our way of life. The 5th house is joy. So the moon is enjoying both the 5th house and the 6th house energies. What this tells us is that it's time for us to bridge the joy, innocence, and creativity within us all, creative self-expression, as sacred and divine children of God. This is the new religion we are bringing into our daily service, our daily devotion. So joy and creative expression must overlap our service, 6th house energy. So this chart, Sedna moving into Gemini, is about making the right choice, getting on the right side of life. Life will always continue. Life is eternal. It does not die. It simply changes form. The deception is that death is finite. That's the end of life. But it is never the end of life. It is simply a transformation. That is Pluto's job. And Sedna's job as the death and rebirth energy within the realm of Scorpio is revealing to us that there is yet a third option, that we can go beyond the phoenix expression of extreme death, extreme hell, and rebirthing into the phoenix. Yes, that's a necessary rite of passage, but it is not the end of the story. The story of Sedna is transcendence, emerging from the phoenix into the eagle, and understanding that we can transcend suffering when we align with the divine and trust that the divine is acting in our lives, even when we can't see it, even when we don't understand it. It encapsulates the message. God works in mysterious ways. Sometimes we don't see it in the moment, but when we trust it, we are delivered. So this chart, Sedna moving into Gemini, is about making the right choice, getting on the right side of life. Either you're going to choose the creator that expands all life, expands abundance, or its opposite. Sedna's message is clear. You were born human, but when you surrender to the divine death of the ego, you return as the immortal victorious, as the immortal beloved, aligned with the God who expands all life, whose energy nourishes the collective. In Sedna's Inuit tradition, laws are not written down. Gemini is the sign that rules over communication. Yes, that is true. Communication in writing. But sacred law is Sedna's law. It is communicated through oral tradition from generation to generation, and it is the example of how we live that is the result of these universal laws being communicated from generation to generation. It is the sacred law that is written on our hearts, fifth house energy, that is communicated to our children and is brought about through the example our children leave and the legacy we leave with our children. It's what's held as sacred within our own hearts and minds and way of life. The energy of this chart is saying, choose wisely, see beyond the veil of the 3D fear, limitation, stagnation that keeps us trapped in what has been. The old way is done. It's kaput. This is our moment to evolve or die. And not literally die. I don't mean that. We have to die to the old way of believing and seeing our life. This is the time to literally get with the galactic program. Sedna's return is not the same energy as it was thousands of years ago at the time of the end of the Ice Age. Please take the time to study Sedna's discovery chart or pick up a copy of my book. Her message is about embracing the power of creation, the power of infinite possibilities, the power of our imagination, and the power that our language, our words, and our thoughts hold. Abracadabra means I create what I speak. I create what I am thinking, what I'm believing, what I'm feeling in this moment. All thoughts, words, and actions hold a vibration that attracts to it the same vibration. This reminds me of that movie, What Dreams May Come. It's individual to all of us, but we have to understand what power we have as human souls in a physical body. We are not limited to the finite. That's Gemini's low vibration, the frog in the well syndrome. But spirit holds so much more promise, so much more expansion. Gemini also represents commerce, travel, education, the media. I truly believe that all of this will undergo a tsunami of change over the next 40 years while Sedna is journeying through Gemini. And probably confessions are going to be heard or come through the media about things that have been hidden from us while Sedna was in Taurus. Both Taurus and its opposite sign, Scorpio, have undergone massive change, most of it hidden, but this is what will gradually emerge from the deep underground Taurus and underwater Scorpio. Trends having to do with the environment, land, and economy that has to do with Taurus, and trends that have to do with politics, power, and sexuality, Scorpio. So much has been going on that we are unaware of, but this is going to come to light and rise to the surface because Sedna in Gemini is communication, and media will not only be transformed, but Sedna itself and the Sedna myth demands of its people that confessions be heard in order for healing to take place and in order for abundance to be restored. We also have to look at the fact that the ruler of Gemini is Mercury. Mercury is conjunct the North Node. We can even round up the midheaven, which is 5 degrees 56 minutes to 6 degrees. And It is a wide conjunction, but it's still 10 degrees. And with Mercury being conjunct the North Node, I read this as a unit. So it bodes well, in other words, that the ruler of Gemini is conjunct the North Node, bringing us into our destiny, and it's conjunct the midheaven, which is also a point of destiny, our calling in the world. How are we going to represent ourselves in our communities? So all of these represent positive healing power and spiritual warrior type energy. We are going to be brought into the energy of defending our right to express ourselves, our right to religious freedom, creative imagination, creative expression. That is the positive Martian energy. And Mars does, of course, rule this Aries stellium, Venus, Chiron, Mercury, and the North Node, and the midheaven. With Mars still conjunct Neptune, I also see this as a positive sign that the higher vibe of Mars, the ruler of the North Node and Aries stellium, will protect our beliefs, our freedom of religion, divine intuition, imagination, and dreams, and allow them to flourish, allow them to feed what we broadcast. Broadcasting through our energy, through our vibration, through the words that we don't say, but through our example as spiritual leaders. Even if we're not, on some pulpit somewhere, we are embodying sacred law, and that is enough to be a spiritual leader in whatever capacity we choose. Now, the moon makes a trine to this Aries stellium, and as the chart ruler, this also bodes very well for us. This is a very positive sign of agreement that our creative self-expression is being received and given the means to express itself and be heard. Saturn makes a square to the moon, and it is also ruling the seventh house because Saturn rules Capricorn. What this says to me is that our emotional responses, the moon, will impact directly what we attract to us as mirrors, the seventh house. Emotional intelligence is the order of the day with Sedna moving into Gemini. Gemini is intelligence. It is our mind. It's our rational mind. The data we receive and transmit, it's how we communicate. Sedna is about emotional maturity, moving from the ego to the phoenix to the eagle. So Sedna in Gemini is emotional intelligence and spiritual maturity that must creatively express itself, moon in Sagittarius, in order to reap the rewards of the abundance and the harvest, which is that sixth house energy. And this is what wants to come in and take tangible form, which is Saturn in Pisces and Saturn, the ruler of the seventh house of mirrors. It's our choice to dream up what we want to attract. So I have talked about Sedna, Jupiter, and Uranus in that conjunction in the last couple of videos. And again, I'll just briefly repeat here that Sedna is sacred law. Jupiter is human law, but also, religion, philosophy. It's the higher court system. These two are in agreement. So even though Sedna is now in Gemini, Jupiter is at 23 degrees of Taurus, it's still conjunct. We have Uranus conjunct Jupiter. So Uranus represents humanity's evolution, and also recognizing that we are not just citizens of Earth, we are citizens of the cosmos. And we are graduating to this recognition that what we do and how we treat all life on this planet, which begins with us, begins with our physical body, our body, mind, spirit connection. It moves from there to how we treat our Earth and how well we are living in harmony with our Earth, to beyond that, and how well are we as one human family in agreement with and working in harmony with those intelligences and life systems that live beyond this planet. So this wraps up the astrology portion of this video. I hope that the messages I've shared here have inspired you to greater life, abundance, and expansion. I always ask Spirit, what will help me integrate this astrological message from the chart and just pull it all together? The card that came through this time is the card of expression. Present challenge: unleashing spiritual energy and overcoming limitations. You have drawn this card of expression in order to further your personal spiritual growth and to help call to your attention those ways in which you box in and limit your spirit's energy. Even if you have worked on healing past painful experiences or dysfunctional attitudes, this card is asserting that you can further or even finish this release work by paying particular attention to color and its healing energy. You have drawn this powerful card of self-expression in order to further awaken your spirit's presence and to reorder and deepen your beliefs about God. The search for divine realization is your search and your children's and grandchildren's search too. You express the magnificence of love only as you experience God's love. You and all living things are the colors of this expression of divine love. You have specific physical characteristics, and these are to honor your own uniqueness as well as the entire divine system of life. The color of your skin, the color of your clothes, your house, your car, and your friends, all are expressions of divine love. God is woven into all life because God is life. You and God share the same bed, the same car, the same glass of water. You and God are one. Your spirit, as part of this grand divine plan, isn't bound by your physical body's boundaries. In your daily life, you are aware that a part of you is tied directly to the physical body through laughter and tears, happiness or fear. These mental expressions of your physical reality change as quickly as your clothes. Your spiritual expression, however, remains constant. It is the guiding light within. Your spirit is urging you continually to live with love and compassion. And beyond your desire to understand God, merely loving your way into the realization of God. Your spiritual body is in no way limited because your mind is unable to follow into uncharted realms of energy. The next time you are tied up in knots emotionally, try to catch the fleeting impression of your spirit, and you will sense an entirely different energy. The time you feel the least like looking for spiritual insight is often the time you will be the most successful, because spiritual orientation can come through clearly during mental disorientation. The guidance through this flower image is to be aware that your inner voice can trumpet out into your life and into the world, sharing feelings that grow from an unlimited spiritual reality. Truth, love, joy, kindness, compassion, and service. The varying darkness and lightness of the purple flower petals alerts you to the truth that your entire life is a spiritual search. Some days you will feel more directly aligned with the divine, and on other days you will feel more limited, upset, and distant from God. But the colors of God's love are always available to you. The divine presence is never far away, never distant from your problems and concerns. But the divine presence also doesn't accept problems as the excuse for denying love. The vast and all-encompassing energy of God knows that a different realization is possible for humanity. I'm going to repeat that. The vast and all-encompassing energy of God knows that a different realization is possible for humanity. In order to see and feel God at work in your life, you need to find and use the gifts of insight and perception available to you. Here's the application. To call on the energy of your spirit for healing of yourself or others, close your eyes and imagine that you can perceive a boundary or outline around your physical body. This outline often appears as an oval. Where the physical body is healthy, a bluish-purple border is visible around the perimeter of the body. Where illness is present, the border is often broken, missing, or appears to be black or dark gray. Healing involves understanding the emotions that have broken down your aura of health. In meditation, ask to understand the nature of the force that holds disease, dysfunction, or disturbance in place in your life. Ask yourself what passion may have been thwarted in your life that you desire to recognize and recapture. As you approach the accurate negative feelings or responses, the blue-purple border around your body will begin to reappear. This means healing has begun. That card, by the way, is from the category of integration. And it's interesting that both the moon at 19 degrees and this card, which is number 19, adds up to 10, which reduces to 1, unity consciousness, and the unity of body, mind, spirit. Learning the language of spirit, learning how to sense and feel and appreciate how the divine speaks to us. It is not through the rational mind. It so well depicts the message of Sedna moving into Gemini. So thank you again for joining me. Please stay tuned for the frequencies, and I look forward to being with you next time. Bye for now.